Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the second part of our Unplugged Live series. Today, I'm going to be joined by podcast host, presenter, and co founder of a social enterprise called Conscious Conversations, Maritza Barone. So, I'm just waiting for Maritza to join along. She should be here any moment. Hope everyone's doing okay today. I think I see Maritza. Hello, Tam. Nice to see everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Maritza should be joining. I'm looking forward to our chat today. It's been a long time since I've had a chat with the very lovely Maritza. There we go. Hello.
Hello, beautiful. I'm glad we both got the red lip memo to brighten our day.
Yeah. What are the odds? How are you?
I've actually been wearing the red lips when I've been feeling flat to brighten me up a little bit. So it really helps.
That was totally my strategy today as well. So yeah, I was feeling a little bit flat just before, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put the red lippy on. So I've already been smiling. So yeah, how are you going today?
Yeah, not bad actually. Today's a good day. The sun's out, and I went for a walk really early this morning, and just took in a bit of that sunshine and positivity. So I'm feeling pretty good today. Yeah, keeping busy. How about you?
Yeah, I feel the same. I was up, I think when you get up early in the morning, it makes such a difference to your outlook on your day. And for me, like that, just setting myself up in the best possible way, that really helped today, especially with the sunshine.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't spoken to you for a while, but I've forgotten how calming you are, Ash. You instantly calm me. Your energy instantly brings me down.
Oh,
I'm one of those people that is sort of a bit high energy. So, yeah, it's nice to be in your company again.
well, thank you, thank you. And I guess like, we have been known to have some pretty deep and meaningful conversations. So I'm pretty excited to have you join us today as part of this Unplugged Live series and
Yeah.
that opportunity to share, real and remarkable stories of, genuine journeys that people have taken throughout their lives for the better, whether it's made massive shifts or changes or whether it's incorporated, various tools or concepts or practices to support their mental health and well-being. Because I think it's so important that we share those conversations at the moment now more than ever. So
Great.
I guess to begin, as you would be quite used to, I thought we would do a bit of a check-in. So if you were to say on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is pretty crappy, not great at all, and 10 is amazing, you've already, I guess, shared how you've been today. But if you were to think about, over the past 18 months, and since this pandemic kind of began and the journey and the corona coaster that's been, where would you say you'd been sitting at on an average?
Oh, that's so funny you say that because literally every day is a different situation for me. It's literally like this for
Hmm.
me, but I've become much more stable. I've found practices to make me a lot more stable. So I'm tinkering around the 7, I reckon, at the moment, which is pretty good considering. I feel like I've just gotten used to the way life is and being less reactive to things than I was
Yeah.
at the start of this saga.
Yeah, I guess it's that sense of getting comfortable with the uncomfortable or with the uncertainty too, and acknowledging that that's just how things are at the moment, even though it might be really, really hard to face into. So yeah, I feel you on that. Just
Yeah.
getting more comfortable with that roller coaster mentality. Mm.
I've had a couple of chats with different mentors of mine, and a lot of them have just kept reminding me, don't have a tizzy fit every time something doesn't go the way you expected it to go. And I saw myself doing that quite a bit, especially when I was in Fiji and things were going just spiraling. And I'd go off and have tizzy fits and cry in my wardrobe, and it would be pretty dark days. And then I'd feel a lot better after I got that out of my system, but it was emotionally draining to just dip really low and then have to bring yourself back up and dip really low again. So I'm trying to remain on a more consistent level of how I'm feeling, because it just, as I said, can be, it can rip the energy out of you when you're just up and down all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you nailed it on the head there. When you have those really dramatic highs and those really dramatic lows, that can really, really feel exhausting. And that's when the resources can be drained to the max. So, yeah, I guess if we can find and incorporate ways to stay a little bit more grounded, so those peaks don't seem so high and the
Yeah.
dips don't seem so low.
Yeah.
And aware that those will happen and we will be shaking a little bit, but that it's not game changing, that it's just like, okay, I can manage this. Yeah, we've had Tom saying there, totally can relate.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's something that a lot of us can at the moment. And so, I obviously know you really well and the incredible person that you are, and I'm excited to have this chat today. But for those who don't know you maybe so well, can you tell us a little bit about you? Who is the person behind the presenter, the host, the Conscious Conversations co-founder? Who is Maritza? Can you tell me a bit about her?
Isn't that funny? I met you in 2019, and I think we are both completely different people to who we were when we met. And I feel like a lot of us have gone through these massive changes in the last couple of years for sure. But who I am, that's such a big question. But in terms of my career, like you said, I've worked in media for about 15 years in all facets of media. So that means producing, presenting, digital media, podcasting, radio, and beyond. And yeah, I've been on a bit of a journey with my career in media, and I'm trying to understand what excites me about it, because it's such a fickle and competitive industry. And for years, I was handed scripts and briefs that I didn't write, that didn't really mean anything to me. And I got to a point where I really started to question why I was in the industry at all, and wanted a lot more depth to what I was sharing and why I was using my voice. So I started just creating platforms of my own in order to be able to share my voice in the way that I wanted to share it, and say the things that were, important to me. And I launched a podcast called Things You Can't Unhear, which you've been on. And that really changed the trajectory of my career, because I started really figuring out why it was that I wanted to be involved in media at all. And it was to help elevate people to share their own stories. And it was such an exciting time to really figure out why I landed on this and what my purpose was. And ever since then, it's just been this beautiful sort of flow-on effect of different platforms that I've created and been a part of. And I founded Conscious Conversations, which very much aware of, and that's been another beautiful platform. So what I've found is that I've just been more in control of my career and more in control of my life, and I've merged my passions with what I'm doing from a day-to-day basis, and it's just a bit of a game changer when it comes to being in a career that means something to you. It's just complete.
Yeah, and I mean, how much different does that feel? Like, you don't even have to look at you from the outside. You can already see you light up when you talk about it, but also from the inside when you feel so much more on purpose, that you're doing meaningful and purposeful work. It can be such a game changer for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you know that all too well.
Again, peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
I get on a more personal level, what do you reckon, I guess, have been the key or pivotal moments that have got you to this one right now?
In terms of where I am with working?
No, in life, I guess.
Yeah. There's been, I always call them life-defining moments, no matter how big or small that they are. And there were definitely a few life-defining moments that have changed the direction of, life and where I've wanted to go and what I've wanted to do. There was one time I remember just being so stressed with work and yelling at my kids all morning to get ready and get out of the house and go to school and put the damn socks on and get everything ready. And I was so stressed that morning that I really needed to get to work, because I had some huge shoot on that I'd been planning for months and weeks. And I just reacted in a way. I acted in a way that I didn't want to act. I was yelling and slamming doors, and it was just not the parent that I wanted to be. And I remember getting them to school and leaving in a tears and just crying in the car going, what was that behavior? Why did I just do that? What is this all for? This is just crazy. So I really changed the way I viewed things and the way that I reacted to things. And I went on a bit of a journey on how to do that, and learnt who I was at a deeper level. I engaged in so much learning, and a bit addicted to learning at one stage over about a year, and I couldn't consume enough information on how to better myself. And I saw that as a small life-defining moment. A lot of times we get these huge rock bottoms that can really change us instantly, and we're forced to change in a matter of seconds. But I feel, grateful that I was able to recognize that I wanted to change from a small moment in time. So I took that opportunity to better myself and learn and grow in ways that, over a period of a couple of years would transform the way that I viewed life and I parented and that I lived. So yeah, like I said, rock bottom can happen and it can force you to change, but this was a much more enjoyable process. And if we don't have to get to the rock bottom, this is what I say to everyone: don't get to the rock bottom. Make those changes when life's giving you the niggles, rather than those big slaps in the face when it's too late and you're forced to make those massive changes in your life if you're not happy.
Yeah, I think that's some really great advice. I know from so many of the people that I do work with, you hear so often that it did take for people to be at the doctor's office or to be, in the hospital or something really severe, especially in terms of health, to finally have that shake that's big enough. Often we do get those taps on the shoulder that's kind of like giving you the hints, like something's not quite right here, but so often it does take for something really challenging to happen to say, like, hey, you know what, this isn't right. So how incredible to have that moment of awareness where, it wasn't necessarily something horrifically awful, it was just a challenging morning to say, you know what, is this really where I want to be going? Is this really the person that I want to be showing up as in the world? And if not, okay, what changes do I need to be making?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Those small life-defining moments, you've got to look out for them, because they are such great hints and tips on where we should be going and what we should be changing.
So in the last year, you've had some pretty significant life changes, it's fair to say.
Yes, very
Can
much
you
so.
tell us a little bit more about what they have been and also what led you to that point, and I guess your journey through that?
Yeah, well, we've been, as a family, we decided mid-pandemic to get up and pack our lives into 9 suitcases and move to a third world country, Fiji. And it was after the first lockdown in Melbourne where my husband and I sat down and decided that life's too short. We had been talking about making a move for so long, and we just sat there over a glass of wine and cheers to the fact that let's go for our dreams. Let's stop waiting for that perfect time or that perfect moment or whatever it is to just make those changes and go for the things that we want. And so we told all of our family, who thought we were absolutely mad, that we were moving, packing up the kids in the house and everything and moving over to Fiji. And it was such a process to get there. I can only tell you that it was just a very, very long process to get there, and a huge effort on everyone's part who helped us to get there. But we moved over there, and for 6 months, it was absolutely the most magical experience ever. It was a completely life-changing experience. People live so differently in Fiji or in other countries, and I've never experienced it. I've always lived here in Melbourne for the 41 years of my life, and I've always craved other cultures and being a part of other communities and seeing how other people lived. And getting there was just like, we were almost pinching ourselves about how happy we were and how we were experiencing these new day-to-day lifestyles that not only we were experiencing as adults, but our kids were experiencing, and meeting new people constantly and hearing these incredible stories of others. And not only, I made it a big point not only to associate ourselves with expats, because it's a very easy thing to do when you move into a new country, because you find your comfort in expats, but I really wanted to make sure that we engage with the local community as well. So we all did that, all four of us, my kids and my husband and myself, and it was absolutely amazing. And then COVID hit, our old friend COVID. So things turned, and it allowed us to actually, when I look back, see Fiji in another new way, and the way that Australia deals with a pandemic compared to how a third world country deals with a pandemic. There are some similarities, but there are a lot of differences as well. And obviously, you can't close a third world country down because people can't survive. They can't afford to survive because they need to work. People are working and earning their living day to day. There are no savings. So they closed for a little period of time, but then they had no choice but to open the stores and open the shops and open businesses again so that people could continue, which meant the cases just spiraled out of control. And over a period of time, we were managing, but then we really noticed that the kids were starting to struggle because a lot of expats were leaving, a lot of their friends were leaving, and we became a little bit isolated, and it became quite difficult. It was a different type of isolation when you're in a foreign country and you don't know many people, and there are no people to go for walks with. There are no people to catch up in the park with. So it was very, very isolating, and it taught us a lot about ourselves and a lot about the fact that, we can find happiness with just the four of us. And there was some amazing, amazing moments. We all got dressed up and had a dance party outside, and the kids did limbo, and it was so much fun, and the sun was amazing. But then there were really sort of low moments as well that made us realize that we had to pack up a little bit early and come back home. So we're back in Melbourne now, but we have suitcases full of wonderful memories and experiences, and it's something that I would never ever change, and one day would love to go back there again and experience that lifestyle and the culture of Fiji. But to say that we have done this, to say that we have actually lived elsewhere during a pandemic and moved around during these such uncertain times that we live in, there's so many stories to tell, and there's so many memories and experiences that we had that I would just never change, no matter how difficult they were.
What an incredible experience, and not just one that you've had personally, but one that you are grateful to be able to say, that you could share with your family too. And looking for those eye-opening experiences, like you got that in spades, and probably not necessarily exactly how you had imagined when you were leaving, but as you said, something that would absolutely stick with you, and also reflect on how it is that you meet that, as a person too, and how that would help grow you all collectively, without even realizing it, I'm sure, most of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We kept looking for the reasons, like, you question yourself. Have I failed coming here? Why did we pack up our lives and come here, for 9 months and have to face these difficulties again? And you do find yourself questioning that. But like I said, I really came to that point where I don't see any of it as a failure. There's so much goodness in what happened and what we did and the people that we met and the experiences that we had, that, these are lifelong friends now that I will always treasure, and conversations that were just, I would have never had here if I hadn't have gone there. And our children, like, they've completely changed. They're so resilient now. They are just, resilience is like bucketing out of them, and their confidence has changed as well. Like, they know that they can adapt to things a lot quicker. They know that if life throws them lemons, that we have each other and we can get through it. And it's been pretty special to see that. I mean, they're only 11 and 9, and they've done this, and I'm so proud of them having been through what they've been through and moving around, and just we uprooted them away from everyone that they knew and their friends and family, and they kept a smile on their face. So it's been great to see.
That's incredible. I mean, what a credit to you guys as parents too, and to give them that opportunity when that would not necessarily have been the easy route to take, you know, when you're presented those two options to say, hey, you know, do we uproot our whole lives? Do we take the road less traveled and, you know, make a go and an adventure of this? Or do we hang around with what's safe and what feels, you know, easy? And you guys have definitely benefited from taking the road less traveled, it for sure seems. And I guess over that period, you know, that and the pandemic, and even over the course of your life, when we talked about those pivotal moments, you mentioned in a few points, you know, the highs and the lows. What has been your overall, I guess, experience with mental health?
Yeah. I suffer from anxiety, and I have done that. I've done so since I was about 17 years old. And I remember in the lead up to coming back to Australia, probably 4 weeks or 5 weeks in the lead up to coming back, and there were so many huge decisions to make that I was really struggling day to day to keep a lid on how I was feeling. And I remember waking up every morning for those 4 or 5 weeks, just like boulders of bricks were sitting on my chest. And this feeling of being like, what will today bring? What horrible news will today bring? And it was just that living day to day. And that went through all the way through to us being in quarantine. That first couple of minutes of waking up, I would feel this massive weight on my chest, and it took me back to when those feelings of anxiety started in my life, and that was the exact feeling. I remember not being able to breathe properly and having you know, that really shortness of breath, and worry that something horrible was going to happen. And I was like, okay, I feel a little bit like things like this could get out of control if I let it. And so I made sure that meditation was a critical part of my day. That, you know, Charlie and I, my husband, we were meditating so much in the lead up to leaving, probably 3 or 4 times a day. He was just on another level of the amount of meditation that he was doing. But it was the only thing that was really bringing us back to that calmness, and just being able to not let stress and worry and anxiety take over us, and making sure that we made the right decisions and that we're being led on the right path. So, I mean, I feel a lot better since I've come back, but I now know that I've got the tools I need to be able to make sure it doesn't spiral out of control. And, you know, that, like I said, that's meditation, but also breathing. I think breathing was always a big thing for me. I've tried the breath work thing, and Charlie, my husband, does it every single day. You know, every morning he does 10 minutes of breath work, and I've tried it and it just doesn't feel great for me. But I do my own version of breath work, and, you know, I do my deep inhales and make sure my exhales are longer than my inhales, and I'll sit and I'll do my own version of that, those calming exercises that really, really, really help me to just bring that anxiety out of my head and just out of my chest and out of my body, and just bring me down to a normal level. So they're just game changers, back to breath and meditation. And I really feel like everyone should do that. And of course, communicating. I know you don't even feel like talking to people sometimes when you're so stressed and anxious. Like, the last thing you want to do is talk to anyone. But when you just pick up the phone and you have a chat to a friend or a family member, you do feel so much better. And when you speak openly about how you're feeling, it really, really does help. So they're my 3 probably biggest things that have helped me through this time.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, it's interesting. Often it feels like it has to be this big shiny thing that, you know, you need to hang on to, whether it's like the latest tool or the latest fad or the latest trend or whatever it might be, you know, that seems kind of shiny and new and is going to solve all life's problems. But often it can be so simple, you know, and not to overcomplicate things, actually just coming back to, am I actually even breathing properly here? Now, can I just take a few deep breaths? And that in and of itself can be so significant in being able to just reduce that heightened state, really, can't
Half the
it?
time you're walking around with your shoulders around your ears, you're breathing through your chest, and yeah, you're just like, just chill, just take it down a little bit and see what happens, and it always works. Always works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always, always. How do you check in with yourself? You know, you mentioned noting that you had those feelings in your chest and that sense of heightened anxiety or worry or overwhelm. How do you personally check in with yourself, and how regularly do you reckon you have the opportunity to do that, or is it more on an ad hoc basis?
No, it's gratitude. It's always about gratitude. And I know it sounds corny and so expected, but I still do it. I lie in bed every morning and I just run over everything in my head that I'm grateful for, over and over and over and over for the first 10 minutes before I get up. And I've stopped doing that for a while. Yeah, I've stopped doing it for about 6 months actually, and I'm back to doing it. And it's just such a nice way to just check in with what's going on in the world, and just making sure that you're stressing about the right things, if there is anything to actually worry about, really, and be grateful for the things that are working and that are going well in your life, because trust me, there's more things that are going well in most of our lives than the things that are not. So just try it tomorrow morning. If you're out there listening, lie in bed, don't get up before you do it. Lie in bed, don't even have to open your eyes, and just run through 40 things that you're grateful for. And once you start, you won't be able to stop. It's really nice. It's really settling.
Nothing like a gratitude practice to give you a dose of perspective, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To bring you back to what actually matters and what's important. And as you said, I always find that sometimes, on the harder days, I'll open up, I've got a little journal beside my bed, and I'll be like, I'll be fuming or feeling a bit anxious, and I'll go to bed and I'm like, no, surely nothing is going to come to the page today. And then all of a sudden the first little thing will come, and then next thing, this bloody steam nearly coming off the pen because you're furiously writing, and
exactly.
you're like, okay, yeah.
And if you're writing, you're still breathing, right? So
absolutely.
Here to live another day. Yeah.
What is your relationship like with technology and social media?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm actually getting very over social media at the moment. Yes, I've noticed a huge decline in my interest into being on social media. I was posting a lot for a long time, and now I honestly don't feel like I want to share myself as much anymore at the moment. And I've noticed that huge change in the last couple of months, and it would, I've been trying to build a community for quite a while, and when you don't post, numbers drop away, and sometimes that used to bother me. Now I'm just watching them drop away, and I really don't care, because I just don't feel, if it's not authentic to what I feel like doing, I just am not interested in doing it. So I feel like right now I just need to focus with what's going on around me and my family, and I don't need to share as much as I have been. I do check in once a day that's how I access my news. So I literally click on the 9 News and I read how many numbers or what restrictions we have, because I need to know what I am allowed and not allowed to do, and then I click off, and that's the way I consume the news at the moment. I really am staying right away from mainstream media in terms of news headlines. It's just not serving my mental health at all. So yeah, same with social media. I'm just trying to limit my usage. How are you feeling with it? I'm interested to see how other people are, because a lot of others have said the same thing.
Yeah, and it's funny, even when you said that, I could see all the little hearts of the people who are joined in live just kept going up and up and up, because people are furiously typing like, I'm feeling the same.
Yeah.
I feel it too. I feel I always feel a pull and a push with social media. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship. I find, as you said, it's kind of that way to access community and like-minded people, and to surround yourself with good things in terms of curating your feed. And, when I find I'm in a position where I'm surrounded by people who uplift me or inspire me, you know, then it is something that I do enjoy. But then often too, it's really, really just challenging when it feels inauthentic, and also it can feel incredibly negative, you know, and that comparison thing comes up for me all the time too, you know, whether it's just general as you scroll through, and that sense of keeping up with the Joneses that sometimes can feel a bit unconscious too, that that can kick in. So I have to be really aware of that, and also to limit my time and know when enough is enough. So yeah, it is a love-hate relationship. It does definitely help in terms of a lot of work stuff comes through, but I think as you mentioned there, and I think that's such an incredible life mantra, is if it doesn't feel authentic to you, then, you know, let it go. It's not serving you. Yeah, so
I just feel like so many people are pushing their views so heavily at the moment, and that's what's sort of getting to me. It's just you should be doing this, and no, you should be doing this, no, you should be doing this, and it's just like, let everyone do what they think is right for them without you having to push your views so heavily on other people. And that's really what's frustrating me probably most on social media right now.
Yeah, it's something that was supposed to always be a tool to bring people together, actually causing a bit more division, which is hard to be part of sometimes.
Yeah, and to take a snooze from it, I reckon.
Yeah, snooze button on the social media. Yeah, that's a good idea. I am conscious of time. This has absolutely flown. I'm sure we could have talked for hours and hours and hours, and I've just loved speaking to you. But I guess for anyone who is watching who may not know you so well, how can they find you? How can they get in touch with you or be part of what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, well, obviously this forum, which I am taking a snooze from, but that's all good. I have a podcast called Things You Can't Unhear, and that really shares who I am on many different levels. So I'd love you to have a listen to that. You can always reach out. I've got a website, maritzabarone.com, with loads of ways to contact me as well and follow what I'm doing. But I'm working really heavily at the moment with a lot of new clients to help elevate their own voices, and it's been so beautiful to see them be able to come from, you know, just an idea into something that's really special to them, like my podcast has been. So you know, that's been a beautiful journey over the last 6 months as well. And I've built my business these days, that podcasting side of my business and that digital media side of my business, to be able to pack up my laptop and just be able to move wherever I can, which is, you know, I'm fully remote at the moment. And, you know, running Conscious Conversations with my partner and not having seen her for over a year has been amazing. You know, running a company from 2 different sides of the world, but, you know, speaking 4 times a week and having meetings 4 times a week virtually has been pretty amazing actually as well, that we've been able to do that. So there are so many pros as well as so many cons at the moment with life, but we've been so lucky to be able to, you know, be able to still connect in ways, so many ways like this. I get to see your beautiful face and those smiling eyes of yours, and we can still do it. If we didn't have this, we would, I think, all of us be struggling so much more.
Yeah, I feel so. Is there anything that we can do to be of service to you in any way, or is there anything, you know, of an ask that we can help with?
Oh, that's such a nice question, Ash. I think what I would ask everyone here to do today is perhaps a random act of kindness for someone. Maybe go to your next door neighbour and drop something off, or write a nice note, or just make someone smile in some way. Just send someone a nice text to check in. Just a random act of kindness. And if everyone does that and tells me about it, or Ash about it, I would love to hear. But yeah, I'm planning on doing my own little random act of kindness when I get off this call as well. So yeah, I think it makes us feel really nice. A friend of mine dropped dinner off a couple of days ago, and it just meant the world to me. She's just like, you know, you've been obviously very busy moving back in, still living out of suitcases, and dropping a bowl of bolognese sauce and a packet of pasta over was, you know, such a beautiful and small thing to do, but it just made made me so happy and feel seen. So, you know, go out there and give someone a random act of kindness. It feels amazing.
I love that. Really restores faith in humanity, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
That is a beautiful, beautiful ask, and one I wholeheartedly stand behind. So I'm going to have a think about what my random act is going to be and execute it today. I'll let you know.
Beautiful. Please do let me know.
I will. I will. Well, thank you again for joining us and being part of this series. It's always, always, always such a pleasure to see your face and to speak to you. Sending you lots of love over there in Port Melbourne, and look forward to chatting to you soon.
Well, I think we're in a 5K, so we should catch up for a walk, Ash.
Thank
you so much for having me.
Take care, lovey. Bye. Thanks, everybody.